Mark, take your time in opening up the show. Like, hey, welcome to Power Play. We're excited to have you. Like, really kind of open that up a little bit. Let's not jump right into it. Maybe talk about Power Play.
Hey, we are live. I apologize. We were actually in our Power Play episode for about 10 minutes and realized I didn't push the go live button. And we're sitting here having a discussion. So I apologize. But anyways, welcome all to our Real Estate Power Play. We have Marty. We have Gabe. Gabe, by the way, we can't see you on screen. But anyways, this week we are definitely going to talk about Marty. He went through a crazy, devastating experience. Gabe will jump back on here shortly. But Marty, welcome. And Gabe, when you come on, welcome as well.
Thanks, Mark. It's good to be here as always. I love the Real Estate Power Play. It's great to be a part of this dynamic quad, cinco, sometimes trio, depending on who we can have on here. But yeah, we had an exciting week last week. That's for sure.
Nice. Gabe, how you doing? Guess Gabe's having some issues there. So until he gets squared away there on his device, his phone is actually out in the field today. So Marty, why don't you kind of give us a little bit of a background, about the property, really what happened, what started the fire?
Yeah. So for those who don't know, this episode, we were going to dive into a property fire. What happens when an investment property, has a fire, right? So yeah, this happened last Wednesday. My partner, Matt, and I, we have a 5-unit property that unfortunately caught fire. Fortunately, thank God, there was no one injured. There was no pets injured. Everyone got out safe. And but as soon as we are able to collect our thoughts and make sure we thank God that no one got hurt, we start to think about, okay, now what do we do, business-wise? How is this going to affect our investment?
Right.
But certainly we didn't expect this. This was actually happened, like I said, last week. We were on our way to a fishing charter, which I was explaining to Mark and Gabe earlier. And, we still went fishing, so it didn't stop that. But we might have had a couple more cigars and a few more beers to maybe ease the pain a bit.
So Marty, how did a fire actually start?
Okay, so the fire started with the top floor. There was one room in the third floor it's a 3-floor property. Again, it's a 5-unit building, but on the third floor, apparently pending investigations now, there was a candle and an incense that were together, and the individual wasn't paying attention. And, unfortunately, there was some very highly flammable material around that broken candle, candle, and it just blew up. It really started the fire. No one was paying attention to it until it was too late. The whole roof and that third floor is completely charred.
Did they give you like a timeline when it started to how fast it blew up? Like how many minutes or?
What happened was, from now, what I've been told, and again, we haven't been able to really talk to that tenant. All right. So if that means anything, I mean, they really kind of got out of Dodge. However, what we were able to take from the fire investigator, who was himself, a firefighter for a long time, he, told us that It started in the living room where the candle was. He saw where it occurred. And what happened was there was some sort of delay, apparently, where she just wasn't able to maybe see it in time. And when she went down to the other units to let them know what happened, some of the other tenants rushed up to help. One of them had a fire extinguisher. And at that point, the smoke was too bad. It was going to be dangerous. So they all left the building and called the firefighters.
So Gabe, you had a questionnaire for Marty?
Yeah, I got a couple from Marty. You guys ready? Okay, so let's back up. So that's what happened. Let's look at the asset in itself, what you guys did. Because I know one of the things that, we're talking about this for those who don't know, Marty, what would you say, like 6 days ago? So not that long ago?
Yeah, this is something that we're working through. So yeah, this happened last Wednesday night.
Got it. Okay, so about 6 days ago, this happens. We're actually on a Zoom call with Marty. We're doing our mastermind stuff, and Marty's explaining. And one of the cool things that you're mentioning is like, look, as you acquire properties, as you go big, as you want to build and you're developing and you're acquiring property, you have flips, you have rehabs, you have all these things going on. Stuff falls, stuff happens, and this isn't even like a fall between the crack type deal, right? This is something from outside your control that happens, right? And so one of the things I liked about Marty, of what he was saying, was like, hey, this is what happens, right? And this isn't as a result of it, but as you go and you grow stuff, there's going to be accidents like this, right? So I really enjoyed what you're saying there, dude. It's really good. But for those who don't know, let's go into the actual property itself. So what is it? How did you acquire it? Just go from the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gabe, thanks for that. That mentality, though, is what helps me be an investor, right? And that mindset is something that it doesn't get developed day one. It's being in this business now, 7 years, you start to realize you can't control anything, right? And the sooner you start realizing that you can't control everything and that you got to let kind of God take care of things, for you and for yourself and for your company, becomes a little easier. Now, I do have some techniques that help me. I work out, I meditate, right? I realize that, hey, I can't control the future and I can't control the past, but I can be present. So that mentality really helps me when we do have a big problem, because, again, when this occurred, I go, is everybody okay? Yes. Are any animals hurt? No. Okay, then, right? We're going to figure it out. Again, 7+ years and then 3 years of education before that.
Right.
Having someone like a mentor in those first years, being my brother-in-law. Actually, I was in a car with him when a fire happened, and I kind of got his demeanor. It's something that seeped into me. A fire occurred. He gets a call. We're going golfing, and he goes, is everybody okay? Was the fire alarms working? Are the smoke detectors? Okay, great. All right. And I was like, wow, I would have lost my mind
right
at 2021, right? But seeing this guy kind of take it, been around the block, done it before, realizing this is business and this happens, especially if you want to be 100, 300, 5,000 plus unit guy, this is something that's going to occur, right? So yeah, that's number one, was the mentality. I'm thankful and I'm grateful that I have that, and I'm grateful that no one got hurt. Great. Right. Okay, now let's talk about the business, right? So what we found was this was a cold call. We found this 5-unit. We were really pounding the pavement. We wanted multifamily. We still do. So if you have one in the Northeast, give me a call, right? Mobile home park, self-storage, or 10-unit plus building. Anyways, so as we were pounding the pavement, we got in contact with this this individual. Owned the property for 50+ years. He was a tired landlord, but he loved the property, and you could tell he loved it by the way he took care of it. And you want me to get into numbers?
Yeah, you guys, let's do that. Let's see what's going on. I was bringing out my calculator earlier today, so I got the calculator in my truck here. Let's do it.
All right. So, like I said, it was a cold call. Certainly, he wanted to meet us. He liked the fact that we were young guys getting into it. Again, guys, for people watching, tired landlords like when you have some young blood and they want you to get into this business, right? They're not opposed to younger generations buying properties. They love it. So feed into that if you can. Let them know, hey, I was just a young guy like you. You owned it for 50 years. I'm going to own it for 50 years. I'm going to take great care of it. I'm going to be the guy that you can hand this baton off to. And we were going to, right? We were going to take good care of this property. We were really excited. So, because of that, he was able to give us a nice discount. We believe that day one, this property was worth around $250,000. We were able to buy it for $178,000. We bought it cash. We used hard money. All right. Our hard money is different than it was 4 or 5 years ago, right? So if you're a beginner, yeah, you might be 12-2, maybe more. But at some point, as you build your credibility and you build up some of your past experience, we're at about 9.5%. So, but we borrow the whole entire thing. So we borrow closing costs, everything. So anyways, we borrowed about $188,000 so that we didn't have to come out of pocket anything. And that was our purchase price. The rents, so it's a 5-unit. It was about $40,000 a year in gross rents.
Got it. So, hey, let me ask you this to kind of get you in there. How much money did you guys have to bring out of your own pocket?
That's a big zero, sir.
Big zero. Okay, so for those who are listening, just to make sure, you valued it right around $250,000, got it on the contract for $178,000. You have a loan on it for $188,000.
That is correct.
Let's just say $190,000 for all intents and purposes. Okay, so $190,000. So if those who want to do the math, you do $190,000. Okay, you divide it by 5 doors, and you're at $38,000 a door. Okay, for those who want to do the math. Now, he was saying that you said about $40,000 a year.
$40,000 a year
in gross profits, right?
In gross rents. Gross rents.
Yeah. Gross rents. Okay. Okay. So that's gross. All right. So we got $40,000. Now, for those who don't know, this is kind of like when people look at the cash and cash return and how much money I got to bring to the table, the reality is you didn't have to bring any money to the table. And even if you had to pay 12%, that's really not a bad deal, right? Because you still acquired a property without your own cash, right? And it's not like it's a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 piece of property. This is very economical piece of property, right? So those who don't know, this is almost an infinite return, because what happens is, or you could call it that, because there's none of their own cash into this thing. So that's what I love about stuff like this. I love the creativity, how you guys got into this thing. So it's really cool. Okay, cool. So now you have that. Now let's talk about the actual asset. You guys are going into it. What is the mindset going into? You're going to acquire and do what with it? Because everyone has their views, and everyone, when it comes to rentals, people have, I only buy cash. I only do this. I like the refi. I like the BRRRR. What's your guys' strategy coming into this one?
Yeah, we're a fan of value add BRRRR properties.
Got it.
So that's how we built our portfolio. My partner, Matt McGuckin, and I, we are very strong proponents of the BRRRR model, especially if you are, again, we have a wholesaler's mindset. So when you're buying properties at 60, 70, 50, 40 cents on the dollar, you are able to really, when you procure the money, even if it's 12-2, still get paid to buy property, right? So we're going to get paid to buy this property is what we were looking at, because we were going to raise the rents. The rents were about $550 for the 1 bedrooms. And we knew that we could raise those to $700. So truly, this is a loss of not just a property, but it's a loss of that potential lifetime worth of income that we got. So, okay, that happens. But you got to realize this is something that occurred. And now what's our next best step? We're not going to be able to do 30 years of income now from this property, right? I can't pass this to my kids. However, what's the next best step? And again, this is still 6 days in. So we're still going through and figuring out, okay, what is the best option for us moving forward?
That's great. So Marty, I got a question there. Since you had it, your finance amount was 178. What did you have it insured for? What was insurance and how did you make out on that insurance? And kind of when you have a moment, kind of walk us through that whole process of dealing with the insurance company.
This is where Daddy made a mistake. So, we are insurance for us is something that is becoming more and more of something we take seriously, and something, it's obviously you need to take it seriously, but when you're starting off, it's just an expense. It's always a line item, right? But it is important. And this is right here an example of why you really want to think about it before you do it. And looking at the history of someone owning a building for 50 plus years, you go to yourself, well, it's been around for 50 plus years. It's going to be around for another 150 years. How do we, where can we save some money? Well, a lot of people, I should say myself, not a lot of people, but I save money by getting some of the lower cost insurance. So typically we're a fire damage only that we're going to insure a property for. Is just typically fire. Everything else we'll figure out, right? So that's just our mentality. That's just the business model we've chosen so far. Is that going to change? I think so because we only insured this for $200,000. The good news is that after the adjuster came, we are going to get the full $200,000. But what does that look like? Because we borrowed 188 at 9.5%, maybe, we still got to pay $3,000, $4,000 to have someone go and make sure it's all secured and, get rid of some of the junk in the front yard because we don't want to start getting violations from the city. We'll probably break even.
Right.
Nice. Now, what are you planning on doing with the property now?
So that wherein lies, what is our next best step? What's going to be the best situation for Suplex, for Matt and I? And we're still talking about it. We believe that it might be, we make sure our investors are whole, number one, and then we sell the property as is. We see what kind of response we can get from the market. Because the third floor unit is charred. However, the bottom 4 one-bedroom apartments are in real solid condition. Those are in real solid condition. So it's a project for somebody who's willing to take that on. What does that look like? I don't know. That's going to be the market that tells us. But I believe that's the route we're going to go down because we have other projects now that we can work on that we think will be a better ROI.
Gotcha. So I want to ask both you guys, same with you, Gabe. I know last year down in your Houston area, you guys had a freeze come through and you guys had some damage. So, for some of the listeners, they want to understand, if they've never dealt with an insurance claim as an investor, kind of give us both, your views and how you dealt with your insurance company, any advice. Gabe, why don't we start with you and then we'll jump over to Marty afterwards.
Yeah. So, the first thing I'd say is you want to vet the different people that you're going to get insurance from. I got a guy that we've been using for probably 4 or 5 years now. So he knows our systems and everything we need. He knows what we have. He has a lot of them already insured. So if it's a rental property or a flip or, maybe it's a wholesale deal or a hotel deal where we just want to hold on to it for 2 or 3 months, he'd say, okay, this will give you the best coverage for that short period of time. Let's say if it's been vacant. So there's all these different nuances. So when you talk to an insurance person, in my experience, I'm not the best insurance person out there. Pretty sure there's a lot more and people who are actually in the business. But you want to know someone and meet somebody who understands what you're talking about for sure, like understands investment type stuff. In our area, there's extra things, like for instance, flood areas. We're down south more, so it's kind of like a question of, hey, do you want to put flood on that? You know, in different areas of town, people would just think, okay, would you want to put flood insurance on that? There's a lot of people in Houston area, and even south more, southern Houston area, all the way down to the coast, where it's just kind of like normal of just putting a flood insurance on that property, because it probably will happen if you're on the coastal area at some point, right? It's just kind of what happens over here, and you never know how the weather goes. So that's what we've seen. As far as doing claims and stuff, I know that this is what's different. It's not like a car, right? So if you're just getting involved, this isn't like, okay, well, I got in a fender bender and it's going to be dinged on my insurance, and now my insurance is going to go up next time, right? Now, these are all individual policies based off of the asset or based off of the property itself. So it's not like you can expect for your next insurance to go up in cost. And that's one of the cool things about this is this isn't like on your record, right? Where the insurance companies come in and go, oh, you know, I see that you've had quite a few speeding tickets, and you also have this other stuff, and so you're more of a liability. They're basing things off of the actual asset, right? And so that's when they come in and might take photos of the property and assess the property and go, okay, 40, 50-year-old home or something like that, or a unit or a multifamily, this is what we do. And they base it off of replacement costs, or, you know, all these different factors that go into it. So that's just something that I've noticed throughout my years of investing. It's way different than like personal insurance, because it's based off of the asset. I don't know. I just, you know, I'm just shooting here of just stuff that I've learned. What about you guys?
Well, Gabe, let me ask you, because I was curious about this. In different markets, like you said, Houston, you typically, if you're on the coast, you're getting flood insurance. Is that something that like investors look at where they go, oh, that's going to kill the deal? Like, what is flood insurance cost? Like, is that what I mean, because in New York, when we see flood insurance or if we're in a flood zone, we're not even going to touch it.
Really? Is that because the New York floods? I don't know New York.
Believe it or not, there's water up here, Gabe. Believe it or not, we do have rivers.
You have rivers. Oh, okay. It must be
we
from all the
Great
ice. Is it the ice melting over time? And it's the
No, but seriously, what does that look like?
You know what? That's a great thing. I advise everybody, and I'll probably need to start doing it more now. I haven't been so much of an advocate, but I'll probably start doing it more now. I'll go, hey, look, when you get insurance, go ask your guy, hey, how much would it be just to put flood on there? Sometimes you're looking at $250 for the year.
I'm in the flood area here in South Florida. So we have a lot of properties that we purchased that are in flood, and it's just another insurance.
What dollar amount are you in ballpark though, Mark?
We're right there with our property taxes. We have flood insurance. Then you also have separate insurance called windstorm for the hurricane. Right. So I'm probably paying like in my condo here about $2,000 a month in a 1,200 square foot condo here in the water. So that's kind of ballpark. But I have other properties too that are in flood zone. So you just get insured for it. That's really about it.
$2,000 a year or a month? That sounds like a lot.
I'm sorry, a year.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was going to say, what do you live in a gold home, Mark?
Yeah, he's legit.
And I know it's nice.
Boca. He's in Boca, guys. This is where, he's always has the perfect tan. Okay, so just to kind of dive into that a little bit more, because Marty was asking, I honestly go and I ask my guy pretty much, okay, what's the flood? What would the flood cost on this? Okay, cool. Just go ahead and put it on there just to make sure. I mean, I've seen so many accidents and crazy stuff where things just happen. A storm can come in dump a bunch of water in a small area within a small period of time. Not even a freaking hurricane, not even anything crazy, just freaking something fluke happens, and now your asset has water in it, right? And then you're like, okay, what do I do? Well, for $500 or $250 a year, it could be worth it, right? It's really not that bad of a deal. Now ours, there's a bunch of, whenever the freeze happens, their pipe busted all over the place. That's a different issue. But those flood company, I mean, those insurance companies, they were getting calls like crazy. Like we were backlogged, but we ended up calling in a claim on it, the photos and all the other stuff. And I know almost everybody that has property in this area had an insurance claim. Anyone who had a rental property of some sort had some form of insurance claim during that freeze, because pipes, we're just not used to that deep of a freeze for such a long period of time. So
I know, just talking to having this episode, it's making me think like, oh my God, I have to go back and recheck my policies. I mean, think about the property values have gone up in the past year. And I know the values have gone up. I definitely don't have the coverage now of just what these values have done in the past year on several of my properties. So it's making me, this episode now, sorry to hear that, Marty, but it's kind of making me like, oh, wow, I need to spend a day just going back through and increasing all
Mark,
my.
I agree.
Yeah.
Mark, I totally agree, because I'm thinking about what he was saying about, like, you got replacement costs. Cool, they replaced it, but he had a loan on it. So now all this other stuff, now they're back at zero. They pretty much own this property free and clear, but it has this damage to it, right? So do you want to drop 80K to 120K basically to get something back, a 5-unit, right, back up to standards? There's definitely going to be code stuff they're going to have to go through. They might even have to go back and redo all the electrical to the whole facility, right? Now you got plumbing, now you got everything else, and you got to bring stuff up to standard, right? So shoot, you're going to be looking at 80 to 120K to get a 5-unit going. And the time and energy, it didn't cross my mind until you just mentioned it. Like, you know what? You're right, dude. That's a lot of time and energy and money. What else could you be doing? You know?
Yeah. Marty, walk us through, like, how was it dealing with the insurance company? How was that process like?
It was our first time doing a claim. So this is our first experience with that specific carrier or any carrier. And it was wonderful, really. They were extremely easy to work with. No, this
is why we all love Marty. Okay, there's not one glimpse of like, man, it was crap, I hate it. There's not ever. I don't even know if I hate it comes into his words and his vocabulary anymore. It's just like, dude, it was a pleasant experience. I loved it.
I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't bad. I mean, they were understanding, and like we had our bases covered. We had an adjuster, our independent person that was ready to come in if they weren't going to give us what we had it insured for. Again, guys, at the end of the day, keep saying end of the day, but we only had $200,000 on the property. The most that your insurance is going to give you is the $200,000. Like, you can't get more.
Right. So
you hope that the damage that you believe is definitely $200,000 worth, that they are going to agree with that. But if not, you want to talk to your own independent adjuster so that they're ready, fire adjuster, so that they're ready to go and fight for you. I did find out that that's typically 6 to 8%, right? But that's something that they're going to fight for. It's almost worth it because they're going to get you more, so that they want to get paid. The more that you get, the more that they're going to make. So they're going to fight for your rights there. So for anyone that's in a situation or that comes into a situation, unfortunately, make sure that you at least make a call to that fire adjuster so that they can be there and explain your rights, depending on the state that you're in.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in here and chime into that because I've actually used a public insurance adjuster once. Yeah, we had a hurricane come through years ago. An insurance company was only give us $4,800 for the damage. It wasn't a lot. It was some water damage. But I hired a public insurance adjuster and we got close to $15,000. So it definitely paid off for itself, And but here in Florida, they do take a little bit more. They take anywhere between 10 to 15%. But it was definitely worth it. Now, Gabe, how about you? How was your experience when you went through the claim last year when you had the water damage through the pipes?
Same thing. Called up my rep, and he's like, "Hey, just call them up. Call the what company is it with? Told them what company, because he has multiple companies that we get insured through. Whatever one's going to give me the best deal." And then he goes, "Okay, cool. Look, call them up, see what happens. Let me know if there's any problems. This is kind of, everybody's calling. See, that's a little bit of different. Like anybody who was calling over a pipe freeze, the whole state was going through. I mean, this is a big state, right? And you're talking about half the state was going through this type of stuff. So it wasn't hard to, call up and say, hey, I got a pipe bust going on over here. So that would made it a little bit easier. That's the only claim I've ever had. And I think we walked away with just enough to cover that and then some other repairs that we had in some of the other units. So we just took that money and repaired some of the other like lighter units that weren't really worth having any claim towards. Maybe a faucet bust or something like that, but nothing that was like water coming down from the ceiling. So we had some money left over off after it all. And so that was cool. But you're right. Like when you're doing the insurance stuff, what I'm noticing from what you guys have said and some of my friends, like you're going to get covered for pretty much what it is. You hear some people tell the story of like, I made all this money back and I'm going to put this money towards this and put the money towards that. But reality is you're going to break even. By the time you go through all the hoops and do everything, it's not like you're going to make another 50 to 100K just by calling in claims. You know what I mean? That's as far as from what I've heard.
So, Marty, tell me, what have you learned from this and what would you do differently going forward?
Yeah, you learn that insurance is a very important part to your, portfolio. It's something that you really want to take a look at and something that you look at regularly, maybe like you said, yearly at least, so that if there is a growing appreciation of your properties, well, you got to make sure that your policies are fitting that appreciation. And because I'm thinking about it now, I mean, there's been properties that we did like the lowest you can because at the time the properties weren't worth a whole lot. And now because of appreciation, they are. So it's something that we got to think about. It's something that you hate, it's like out of all of the things that go with real estate, insurance is the most boring. It's always just something that is, you're like, why do I got to pay for this? Like nothing's going to happen. It does. Stuff does happen. But like Gabe said, you want to talk to an experienced insurance agent who knows investors, who knows what your goals are, and is someone that's willing to see these goals through and help be a big part of your team.
Got it. So we have like 15 minutes left in this episode. So let's kind of shift directions from insurance because that was really helpful and go back into, what Gabe was asking you a little earlier, about the business model of it, like what did you do to kind of get that lead coming in, how you found that deal and so forth, and how your business model is going forward.
Yeah, well, that's the fun part. That's my favorite part is finding the deals, right? Matt and I, we pride ourselves as deal finders and putting deals together. So we pulled this list. It was a multifamily. I think a lot of people miss out on the multifamily list. I think for wholesalers and investors in general, that's something that people don't tend to touch as much is a multifamily, especially like a 5+ unit buildings. Some people kind of leave those off. So we wanted to go and tap into that and pulling that list, of course, cold calling that list, and just staying active on that individual lead. We spoke to him several times. I think the key to our success was just getting in front of that seller. He could probably see something of himself in us, just young, hungry guys just trying to make it. And that resonated. So, yeah, it started off as a cold call. It wasn't right away a deal, right? Just like anything, it takes maybe 1 or 2 cold calls. This one was about 3 cold calls and 2 text messages before we got that meeting. And we were fine with that because we were really excited about the area. We knew the area, so we did our due diligence. We've done our research. We've bought properties in this area. We know that this is an area that we believe is going to appreciate, and it is appreciating. That may be something that he wasn't quite in tune with because that wasn't, he's not an active investor. This was more of a landlord, old school landlord, bought the property and has just had it for 50 years. So yeah, we found it through cold calling. We cultivated it through texting and cold calling, and we were able to meet with him. Here's a key though. He has a wife that was a part of the property. She was the bookkeeper. So I always made sure I was on the speakerphone so that the wife could hear, because I know that she was the numbers girl, right? He was, right? So this property was close to his heart because this was like his business. This was something that he, as an older school gentleman, probably went there to just kick around to get out of the house, right? And we knew that. So we played into that a little bit, and we just made sure that he knew that we were going to take good care of it at the end. But yeah, cold call, texting, make sure you get all the parties involved, make sure the wife's a part of it, and do right by them by giving them a price that you think as a cash deal that was going to be something that was going to definitely raise an eyebrow to them, and they did.
Now you said something there, and I know Gabe is I want to ask Gabe this question too. Like, how did you know when you're talking to the seller? How did you know? And Gabe, you're really good at this. Like, how do you know that you have to get the other party on the phone and discuss that?
Gabe? Because I got a wife, and she's all over me about stuff occasionally. So no, but truthfully, Gabe, you work with your wife. She's my wife's a nurse, so she's not in the day-to-day, but your wife seems to be in the day-to-day with you a bit. So I'd be interested to find out how is it the dynamic working with your wife, but more of like what Mark was asking, because I'm younger, so you kind of to talk to make sure that the wife's apart when you're
right? Guys, I'm buying a house. Probably at the end of the week, I'll get it. Same situation, husband and wife. And what's interesting is that the husband's talking here and the wife is talking to me at the same freaking time. Okay. And the wife would share something and then the husband would just talk over her. And I'm going, okay, who's the who, right? And so it was a harder transaction for me to do because I would get him on the phone. I'm like, okay, cool. Hey, and he knew about the house, kind of like your situation. He knew about this house, other stuff, what's going on. Lockbox, where's the key? Okay, here's the key, blah, blah, blah. All right. He goes, all right, you're going to want to talk to Kelly. Cool. So I talked to Kelly, and she's all about the numbers. She used to work in insurance, and she's like, look, I want to talk to my attorney. I want to make sure that the seller's disclosure is legit. So now I'm having two conversations for the same property because they're not in the same place at the same time. Right. And I'm like, okay, anywhere you guys gonna be at the same place, same time. Well, the moment they are, I'm on another call or I'm doing something else with my life in the business or something. I can't do that. Right. That speakerphone thing. I love that, but I wasn't able to make that work on this one transaction. If it was a really big transaction or something like a multifamily or something, I probably would be more available. But on this one, so this is just an example of some of the stuff. Like, okay, so I need to talk to the wife. Make sure to talk to wife. Wife is a numbers person. She's an insurance person. And I'm joking with her now at this point. She's like, I just want to make sure. I'm like, man, are you like this with everything? And I'm joking around with her. And it's like, man, how do you and so there was something that happened and you made live to say, listen, when's the last time you guys went out to eat or I was like, some funny joke, like, do you do this just to go out to eat? And I'm cracking up laughing. She's laughing on the phone. And she's like, well, sometimes we do go after it, just trying to figure out where to eat. And I'm like, I totally get it. My wife does the same thing sometimes. We're just sitting in the parking lot trying to figure out, do you want Mexican food or Asian food? Right. And so, so the dynamic of relationships is you need all people in this world. Right. And that's what I think that we miss, especially with what's happening in the world right now, is that we're just kind of missing out on the fact that people are people. What are we going to do? We can't fight with everybody. You can't just go and argue with people. They don't agree with you. You want them to be on your side, right? And so I love what Marty said is that, like, He knew the guy cared for the property. It's no different for let's say if it was the wife that was like, oh, I grew up my whole family in this property and this is what happened with all of it. Hey, when we go over there, we're looking to put a great family into this property, especially if you're going to flip. I want this thing to look just like whenever you guys first moved in, right? So, you kind of want to share the story. You got to sell the sizzle. And that's what I figured out how to do. And so this one is just the most recent transaction that we're doing with husband and wife that was really total polar opposites. And basically I'm on the phone. I would have loved to get them both on speakerphone at the same time. But basically I was like, listen, when is the attorney getting involved in this thing? And then they told me, I'm like, let's just wait for the attorney. It was just so chaotic. I was like, I'll talk to your attorney instead. And then we did a 3-way call thing and it was great. The point is you got to find that middle ground, right? So you just do what you got to do.
Yeah. How did you find that deal?
That deal came from actually a JV lead, somebody who was telling me, for those who don't know what joint venture is, it's and guys, everybody on here does this stuff, right? Like Marty, Mark, Ronnie, John, we all joint venture with people, which basically means somebody who brought a lead or brought something to the table, and we're able to look at that and say, okay, I'll bring the money or I'll do the transaction and I'll pay you for it. So it's more of a joint venture bird dogist type person who was just trying to figure out how to make it all work. And I told him I'd help him out. So, yeah.
Nice. Good stuff. Great stuff. Marty,
how about one thing quick, Mark, because it's a slick trick, and I want to make sure the audience hears this. When you're talking to the sellers of a property that they've owned for a long time, they may, of course, just like any seller, they're going to believe the property's worth more, right, than it probably is. And it's definitely going to be worth more to them than it is to me as the buyer. We're on the other ends of the table here. What I like to do, though, is I like to say, wow, you've owned this for 50 years, Mr. Seller. That's awesome. So that's 50 years, and you've been making, what, $20,000 a year on this property? So you've made almost $1 million on this property just in rents. Congratulations to you. Wow, that's awesome. Oh, by the way, I'm going to offer you $150,000, but you made $1 million on the property. So you made your money already. Don't look at it like this is where you make your money. You already made your money during the time that you owned it. Congrats to you. Congrats to being a housing provider. And guess what? I am going to be the next in line to take this property down for the next 50 years and make you proud and continue that legacy. And I look forward to working with you.
Good stuff. Really good stuff. I like it. How did you, what kind of system did you use to pull the data for that lead that you guys, the property that you lost to the fire? What kind of system was that?
Yeah, we pulled that through ListSource. It was actually just one of the first times, or we like to use PropStream, ListSource, whatever is going to get us the information. But ListSource, we pulled that particular list from. We skip traced it through Mojo Dialer, and we called it off a Mojo Dialer. So I know a lot of people don't like to use Mojo or Mojo skip tracing, but we've found success with it. And, it's something that we continue to do when we cold call. We like to use the Mojo skip tracing service.
Very nice. Gabe, who do you use for your skip tracing? He's on mute. We can't hear you, Gabe. No, now he went on mute. He's gotten some issues there with his phone. Is he back? Nope. So I've used batch leads, and I've used PropStream's skip tracing. How about the Mojo? What's the percentage of accuracy on that one? Do you have an idea?
We're currently working through that because as we've transitioned to call tools for cold calling, we're finding that we're having much more success with call tools. So it's almost like a matter of time before we make the switch, just complete the call tools. Our VAs use call tools. Matt and I, we like the familiarity of Mojo. And there's something to that, right? If you're confident getting on the phone because you like the system that you're using, that only just plays into the phone conversation and the wanting to be there. Guys, cold calling isn't the most attractive and the sexiest thing in the world. It's something that takes grit. But I will say this. If you really want it, you will make it happen. And cold calling is one of the most, if not the most cost-effective ways of getting in front of a lead. It's a way to increase the opportunities because you're making dials. It's up to you how many dials you make. I believe if you're someone that's trying to crack into this business, there is no reason you shouldn't be making 100 dials a day. There is no reason that you can't do that, because if I can, then other people can. And actually, you should be doing it, because it's something I still do. I still like showing my VAs that I cold call, because it's an FU chip to them. I'm doing it too. You can do it too. I'm getting
Right.
Where are your leads? I'm making magic happen. Where's the magic on your side? Now, I say it in a nice way, right? But we're being competitive. And the competition is the key. The competition is the key between you and your VA. You, like Matt McGuckin, my partner, he'll go and do floors occasionally. He'll go and put up the he'll do the backsplashes just to show the boys, hey, I can still do this and I'm better than you. Just remember that, right? But we need you. We're not saying these things, but it's just to let them know, hey, we know what we're talking about. We walk the walk and we talk the talk. So it's all important stuff to do when you're in business in the beginning years, which we are.
Great stuff. So, all right. Well, we're coming to an end. It looks like we did miss, the first 10 minutes of the episode, or 12 minutes. So I do apologize. Didn't hit the go live now, but let's just go around real time. And Gabe, got any advice? Any thoughts?
You know what, guys? It's the same thing. Just keep plugging. You're gonna have you're gonna have mistakes and stuff like that. And we all do. And I have them on a weekly basis. Something comes up, and you just plug through it. And what you have to look at is just every mistake helps you to add another relationship to your database that's actually helping you grow further. You have to get an attorney involved. Great, but your attorney also brought you 2 leads. So, different stuff that happens, the real estate insurance person might. So the whole point of all of this is to keep the momentum moving forward. Don't slow down. Just keep plugging at it. So
Nice. Marty, how about you? Got any last minute advice?
I'll just say something with insurance. Make sure you talk to a investor-friendly insurance agent, and make sure that they have been doing it for at least a couple of years, so that you know that they know what they're talking about.
Nice. It was definitely, I got quite a bit out of this episode. It makes me think that I definitely need to go back and look at my policies. I'm actually going to put that on my calendar this week to take a half a day and just go back through and just increase. I know just going back in the last year to 2 years that the values have gone up in several of these properties. So, Marty, I'm glad everybody was safe, and
yeah, for sure.
I'm glad you got the, you just kind of went with it. You just took the punch and just kept on moving. So great job.
Thanks,
gentlemen.
guys. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
so
Have
much.
an awesome day. See ya.
Thank you, guys. Take care.